have a look and see if it's there.
It's not. Oh, yeah, that's coming.
Look and see if it's there.
Okay, perfect. I just turned this up. That's fine. It's perfect. Great.
Excellent. Now, glad that works. It says stop stream or stop event. Stop stream.
Yeah, I think it's
So we're not stopping the event. We're stopping that stream.
Good morning, everybody. We're going to get started on our agenda. Usually we ask one of our elders who sits on the board. She's been our elder for ever since we started this, ever since we've been incorporated in 2010. So I'm going to ask Sophie Muscatelli to do an opening prayer for us. Sophie,
Skatsen, sawentan karvestiken, kahkinake ko sawentan karvestiken, yabske kamitsak marsun, kinanah kumuko karvestiken epsimsak, kiksewat sonewenot naman okong kakiska, karvestiken kahkinake kon, kitasibagit nama kon okong kanmatsike eksebat, ni hikuan karvestiken makamatuskar. Emojis in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Yeah.
Straight to you, yeah?
I'm enjoying my conversation with you. They make me nervous.
They got to get back
Oh, yeah, okay.
Okay, we're going to continue our agenda. And our morning program, as you can see, there will be 3 updates. Nelson, Margaret, and Matthew will be doing the updates for each of the programs that were under the umbrella of Quadu. And we're going to have coffee break at 10:15 to 10:30. Then 10:30 to 12 o'clock, we're going to have a roundtable discussion. And I think Matthew is going to facilitate that discussion.
Yeah.
And this afternoon, 12 to 1 is lunch. And this afternoon, 1 to 2:30, we have assessment. Leslie, she'll be talking about special education. And also, we have a coffee break at 2:30 to 2:45. And after that, 2:45 to 4:30, we have community tutors, Brooke, Dadavan, Bogle, and student nutrition, Monica will talk about those things. And in the meantime, I'm going to center our attention to our interim ED, Matthew Andrews. He's going to be doing the opening remarks. Matthew Andrews, we're going to ship back.
Yeah, amigos, minenda na kena magabijay. Sa mga gimana, ayan na atikino, kaya na greetings to everyone. I'm happy to see everyone here. I hope you had good holidays and enjoyed your break, for those of you that have breaks. As what Charles has stated, I'm not supposed to be here, but I'm still around, trying to guide you. We still haven't completed our process of finding a replacement, but we're still working on it. I just wanted to touch base on some of the things that we want to do, especially the open forum that we'll have after the break. What we want to do is we want to make it open for those of you that have been around since the beginning. I assume by this time we should probably be aware of the challenges that we face in terms of the work that we have to do. And I know it's very difficult for us too, because of the way we are structured. As you all know, Kawajio doesn't have any authority whatsoever to dictate what should happen at the community level. The only direction and the only mandate that we have is the resolutions that we receive from the chief and council, not the chief, but the chiefs from our General Assembly. And those resolutions that give us the mandates will be given to you on Friday in a way that it will give you direction in terms of what we have to push in order to get the work that needs to be done in terms of setting up standards in our communities, making sure that the system that we're working on needs to be consistent. So I'll be talking about that tomorrow, just to review the so-called district chief's resolutions. That is the basis of our mandate. In other areas, in terms of the supervision and also the evaluation of the teachers, and to make sure that everything goes accordingly in a community level, as you all know, that is your domain, your responsibility. We're only here to support, to facilitate any extra assistance that you need or any other expertise that you need. Will help, and Kawajio is here to support you. So during the open forum, I wanted to make it open. We want to hear from you to identify the areas that we should focus on for this year. Mind you, I'll be presenting the approved 5-year strategic plan for Kawajio for the next 5 years. I'll be presenting that to the education directors on Friday, I believe. But in there are some areas, critical areas that we have to work on together. But those are the areas that I'm talking about in terms of in open forum. Those are the areas that I think in a way all of us have common areas that we need to work on together, whether it's language, whether it is attendance, whether it is other sensitive issues that might be going around in communities that you need help on. It's open. I only have about a couple of items that I wanted to include there, but once we get there, I'll let you know on that. But other than that, I'm hoping that you will enjoy the next 3 days that we're together. And I really look forward to the following year. And I'm glad to see some of our teachers becoming principals in our communities. I'm glad to see that. And I'm glad that you have assumed that challenging position, and we do have some people coming in from the ones that have worked from outside to our schools, which is good. We need a lot of help. And the only way that we would be able to move forward together, based on the mandates that we have and also the direction that we have, is to work together as a unit, as a team, and as one. And I'm hoping that we'll be able to move forward. The other thing that I wanted to, I just came from the meeting in Thunder Bay yesterday. I was supposed to stay there for 2 days. But apparently there's a letter that was sent to the chief and council, a very important letter, a critical letter. It wasn't sent to us, it wasn't sent to the political organizations, it wasn't sent to the tribal councils either. It went directly to chief and council. It's a letter that announces what monies have been that are coming down. It covers everything from BOF, Ban Operating Funding Formula, all the way down to literacy and numeracy, special ed language and culture. So I was just talking to some of my colleagues that are working in the communities. They haven't seen it, so I'm going to make it available during the open forum. Maybe we'll have a discussion. I have a bit of information that I got from Nan in terms of the meeting that I went. Just to give you a bit of breakdown, but it's not official. But apparently there's money's coming down, which is good news. Other than that, I just want to go directly to our updates. We do have. I'm happy to say that we have managed to successfully receive our ongoing FNSSP funds. In fact, we were surprised that the amount that we requested, we received. We didn't have any problems with it, or even we didn't really have to lobby the way we used to, at least for the 13 communities and the tribal council. So I'm glad to see that, and also to be able to provide more money at the local level through locally developed proposals. And the only challenge that we have is the one that's ongoing, is the academic readiness project, which is the critical one, because that's the program that deals with curriculum development. We weren't really successful in terms of getting extra funds, but other than that, we did receive what we used to receive in the previous years. There is a new project that we have received funds for, which is structural readiness, and I will provide an update. And we just recently hired a coordinator for that project, and that will be ongoing for the next 2 years. We have other projects on the side that we wanted to convey to you, and mainly the nutrition program that we need to talk to you about. We need your help to make sure that we don't jeopardize that funding, because there are certain areas that we need help from you as a principal and as a director. So without further ado, we'll just go right into the agenda. Charles?
Okay. We're going to begin our updates. I'm going to ask Nelson McCope. He's the Academic Readiness Coordinator project. He's a coordinator for that program. So he's going to provide you with an update. Nelson?
Good morning. Yeah, I was hoping that the report would have been on a memory card, but they haven't.
I think it's on its way.
It's on its way, okay. But you have all the reports, the hard copies in your binder.
So in your binder you have my work plan for ARP. That's the Academic Readiness Project. It's New Paths for Education funded. Again, this year we have received the letter from INAC stating that we are funded for 800,000, which is an ongoing annual. Came in every year since 3 years, I think now, 3 or 4 years. So I'm going to kind of just go over briefly of what my program can only do with that amount of money. It's really limited to what I can do with projects, because most of the money is going towards the operating costs of our program, the salaries. So there's a breakdown. If you find your paper, your pages in the binder that you have there, the top two, somewhere in the middle is my update. I'm going to start off with the new paths work plan for 2016-2017. When you have the First Nation Education Management and Governance Capacity side of it. On the salaries, you'll see that the breakdown of 488,000 is all towards the salaries of my staff. And then on top of that, we have the operating costs of Mas negate ko iyo my update quite your education resource center nas negate academic readiness project. It should be under their section 2 on number 2, top 2, and then it's somewhere in the middle. Okay. Yeah. It's just a breakdown of the costs that I have to play with. My 800,000. It's not much, but it does give you an idea of what I have to deal with every year. You have done that. And your top 2, somewhere in the middle, it looks like this. So, I mean, you could drop just going down the list of where the rent, insurance, and all the phone got the Bahamas, it comes up to 82,000. I mean, you're basically the recruitment, the advertising costs is we budgeted for 5,000. And the bank audit payroll expenses is 7,000. So office supplies, we're budgeting for $32,200. Printing and publishing is the biggest cost too, that we budgeted for 45,000. And the shipping that all the shipping that we do, we have to pay all the costs too. So it's for us, it's going to be about $6,700 more than this, or even $6,800. Then you go down to the next page, the office, the production equipment is Xerox, our big monster printer, is $82,000 of our lease payment. And then you have the travel for the board members of the Kirk board members. I am co-sharing costs with the FNSSB, and I'm doing $19,500 in Mount Gainers Vega. So I'm spending for that travel for board members. And then for this one, I'm kind of throwing in $44,000 for you guys right now, just to help with cost sharing in with the FNSSB. And then our travel they go to Chad when we have the AGM for the Chiefs. That's the AGM for the Chiefs. I'm helping out with 24,000 on that cost there too. And then you go down to the next page, you have your education director's travel. I'm budgeting for $47,320 here to support co-sharing again costs. Because that's where most of the 800,000 is gone into that operating costs and all the salaries. Our project money, our activity money, we don't really have anything, but we just kind of use other small proposals from different sources to fund our projects for you guys to come up. And I'm trying to budget our Kirk staff, our art staff travel for support It's in here. It is budgeted for 47,000. No, $32,844. If we keep going down the pages there, it's not much, but we get a lot done. So if you go down this, the whole work plan, I had to take off a lot of the stuff that I had initially asked for in the proposal. But again, what INAC might give us a little bit more money later on, who knows? So this will be revised again if money comes out, because I haven't done any revisions on it, the proposal that I sent out, because I'm kind of doing a wait and see how much, if there any money coming down later on. I had initially put on the smart board training for our staff, so that way we can take the training up north, and then we go down the list of my proposal. You'll run into our ARP staff travel of $32,000, and you keep going, and again you'll find the ARP professional development. I want in part 2 for somebody to go for training. Now, we had a support from Margaret to send one of my staff to BC for that training, which came from her budget, which helped us quite a bit with trying to get the expertise up in our staff to be able to support our teachers. And you keep going, and then you'll see into the part of school effectiveness is number 2. Again, in there, I had proposed the leader in the school training, the leadership for us youth and students, to be able to work hard. I mean, to be able to get a few of the youth trained to kind of help with the peer, giving them the expertise on how to eventually lead their peers. That was what I wanted to do with this program there. Because I find that we need more kids involved in leadership skill development. To be able to stand up in front of people and talk to people and do presentations and and eventually be a really good support system for administrators in the north. Because we run into many problems with kids because we don't know exactly why they act like that. So from peer to peer, it's always a good support system for kids to be able to relate to. So that one is not funded right now, but see what happens later on. I have Jolly Phonics there too, but it's not funded right now, because we wanted to kind of train our teachers. Even the native language immersion teachers can be able to adapt to that type of training. It doesn't really matter how. It's the technical side of it, of how you apply language skills, that matter. It doesn't matter if it's in English. It can be used in the language, in First Nations language. And then going down, I had put in there enhancing native language programs. Students learning from people from the community through land-based, because that's where the language comes from. Really strong language. That's where it comes from. Kids will never learn to use language if you don't give them the chance. They're not going to be able to have that language, the fluency of the language is going. So we were I was hoping to get really, I was going to kind of push for land-based activities in schools, the cultural part of it. And then also I had put in there the computers, and then going to the third part of it, the parental community engagement. I have an activity there where it says connecting parents and children through activities like music, like even trying to help kids develop that connection with the school through their parents. Parents need to be educated or involved with their child's education more and more. That's one of the things that I had budgeted for that the Leadership in Me program, because if kids know their parents are involved with their education, they will succeed better, learn better, and even become more of a strong leaders in their own right. And that's part of the, and the other one is the parental education on bilingual literacy, helping parents understand that the native language side of the academic program works together with the English academics. If done properly, if implemented properly, the kids will have that bilingual, bicultural status, and the identity of the kids will become strong. Like you cannot just kind of push aside the native side of the kid, but kind of bring it closer and evolve them into one two-world system. Kids will learn better that way. And the next one I had was just the learning from the traditional knowledge from the elders. There's a lot that we're losing when the elders are passing on, and we need to start working with the elders in our communities. That was the project that I had put down in here, that integrating traditional knowledge into the classrooms. It has to be done, it has to be part of it, because you don't see parents teaching their kids the traditional knowledge of it. And by supporting all of that from the school side, it will start to show towards, and kind of open up the community to kind of get involved with a lot of the stuff that we are losing. Because we're just sitting around and watching it go by, and we're losing everything. That's the sad thing about it. And archiving a lot of the information that we have from the elders, the language, the elders' language is really, really going fast. We talk differently now. We don't have that same language as the elders used to have way back then. And we tried to archive it in the dictionary that we did make, but not a lot of it is old language. So that was one of the other project that I had put in there. And then there's, if you keep going towards the end of the page, you have the Speakers of the Knowledge Project. I was budgeting for 2 community schools, Waterman and Sachigo, to be able to, I was going to try to go and help, work with them to kind of do a project with them to have the 12 fluent speakers share the knowledge and expertise by developing word system, and also the old language of stories and traditions and everything that we can bring back and share with the kids. And now I was going to throw it to different areas, like the video, keep it on video, keep it through the written form. And also that if you keep going back, and I had put in there the summer camps for students. Having our staff work with communities, maybe a week, 2 weeks, whichever we can do to have the language summer camps going. You guys always had that literacy camps for the English side of it. And I don't know how well it's working, because we all have English-speaking students already. Now we need to turn around and do our own camps together in the language. It's the only way the kids are going to start to use the language if they use it, if we teach them to use it. Teacher recruitment, the last one, and retention, I budgeted there for $47,415. It's a 3-day professional development, which is happening upstairs right now with our immersion in language teachers. And the other ones I took off because of I didn't really have money to get, do activities in that area. But in this one here, I'm going to do a quick update on the project presentation, August workshops. The academic radius project is funded through New Paths for Education since it started. The funding has been the same for the last 3 years at $800,000. And with this type of funding, we cannot do as much as we want to every year. We have to limit our travel sometimes, and we get our wings clipped because money is not there for us to travel, not for my stuff. But at the same time, we need to be able to be in the classrooms with the immersion in language teachers. We need to be able to promote the language in the community. We need to really push you guys to have a good support system for your language teachers. And you're the only ones that can monitor the language issues for us too. When you guys go back and you deal with the English academics, and you guys have to understand that native language is also an academic program. But it's in the language. So when you neglect that part of it, you're only doing half a job. You have to step up and kind of work with the native language teachers. That's part of the another program that we need to make sure that kids succeed in. And also we develop curriculum resources. We can develop them in English, we can develop them in language, depending on which community you're from, if it's in Ojibwe, Ojibwe, or Cree. Also, English is the main curriculum being used, so we support that too. And also, our program, the components of our the current mandate includes developing the bilingual bicultural programming, which is what we've been doing since I don't know how many years now. And then having developed those curriculum guidelines, which were revised 2 years ago, I think it is now, which has 2 streams, and the non-immersion stream and the immersion stream. Again, every school has those copies. And then those curriculum guidelines must be followed, because as in 2010 it was passed by the chiefs to be able to have those curriculum being used in the classrooms, the schools. So some of the services, I'm going to go down to services that we do, and that we do provide from our, from working with kindergarten to grade 6 curriculum, workshops, professional development, teachers native language immersion support system, in-class visits and supporting them in that way too, developing language materials, and Cree, Ojibwe, and Ojibwe. We do offer a little bit of the web design, digital retouching and painting. We have app development. I think it's going to take iPads to we're developing a language apps through the some Algonquin learning systems in Winnipeg. So we're kind of developing another one right now that is still almost done. I was hoping to get it here this week, but it's not happening. It has 3 phases where we developed a sound system. My boss is really into that system. Now it's going to really master the sounds of syllabics. That's what we're really focusing on for the kids to use. It's just like the phonics, right? It's the phonics system in English. You master the sounds of the letters, vice versa. You master the sounds of the syllabic system symbols. And you should be able to really come up in language skill development, oral language. That's the main thing that we're focusing on, is acquiring the language, oral language skills. And that's one of the things that we're teaching. We're going to be teaching your immersion in language teachers upstairs. It's how to really implement those skill development strategies. And just language programming in class, multimedia training. We also have an artist, illustrator, designer person that can go to your schools and work with your kids to help them with art, and even to help your staff to develop their own resources. And then in production, we do translation services. So we get a lot of calls and to translate for organizations, hospitals and stuff like that. We have an ongoing school yearbook. We only did a couple, I think, this year, or maybe 3, I'm not sure. And where are the other schools? So we try to put that, it's free. We try to keep it free, but we do a lot of work ourselves. All you need to do is compile all your information by March and April. We need to have it into our center, ready for you guys for May and June. It's free. And we do a lot of printing for organizing annual reports, children's books, and OGQ dictionaries. If you need more dictionaries, you just let us know. Brochures, posters, advertisement notices, logos. All the stuff that I going over is in this other page, the pages. And then also I put in there that making language the first priority in your schools too. It's getting more evident that we really are struggling to help kids gain back in languages. So we need to focus on strategies on how we can support our students learn their language, take their language back. So I'm gonna leave that. Okay, I'm gonna stop, but in here you can kind of read through what I had written down, because I don't want to take too much of your time. But the other thing I want to kind of go quickly, Charles, is sometimes it helps a school to have their own language coordinator, coordinating all language activities, all events, everything that has to do with our identities, our culture.
I was going to save this for roundtable, but since you're talking about it now, I just want to tell you that I've got some good news from Casa, that we get more culture and elders and stuff like that into the school. And at the time, the provincial examiners came and spoke to me, and I told them that this was a concern, particularly on the high school level. And they have granted us permission to offer the interdisciplinary studies course that involves native languages, maybe some earth sciences and some green technology or whatever. And what we're going to do is we're going to have some of the Wallace Semple, the chief's deputy chief's son, is going to be teaching it for us on the high school level, native language teachers. We're going to have the elders come in and maybe go hunting, camping and stuff like that with the kids, and then teach them some earth science and stuff like that. And the cultural and language needs of Casablanca, we're offering this year for the first time, at least while I've been the administrator, the interdisciplinary course that gives the nation's culture in high school.
Nice to hear. The other thing that you as a principal need to watch is when they're teaching or using the syllabic system. Just make sure that it's consistent throughout the whole grades that they're using. You don't want to have one person teaching the system this way and another person teaching it this way, but it has to be consistent throughout the whole. Because you don't want Ron writing his name this way in grade,
Yeah.
and then he goes up to another grade, he's writing it in a different way. So that's kind
That's
of
not
what,
good, yeah.
that's kind of what we were been seeing throughout the schools we visited, and we always try to tell these people to work together.
And I also believe that it's an important aspect of high school too. I think that but I've seen a lot of the native education with the elementary, and I think it needs to be expanded in the high school as well.
True. Because we need to develop those little kids.
Yes, absolutely. All the way up.
Again, you guys are the bosses, and you guys should be able to say to your own staff that this is what we're going to be doing this year. In the last page of this one, I have another little program that I'm kind of running with, the New Horizons for Seniors program. Again, it's all part of language-based activity, developing archiving language, and I wanted to kind of try to do it through with the elders right now. I'm kind of using the videos and other things that I can preserve the languages. I go there and they give me stories of their life. They give me words and the words that we don't even remember anymore that they still have. So that's what that's what I'm trying to do with this project. It's in here that little write-up about that activity. So with that, Miigwech, and I will see you around because I got to run upstairs.
As to what Nelson is saying about this funding, when we excuse me, when we submit proposals, that's how we survive. We have to submit proposals every year. We don't receive core funding for the organization, so whatever we submit, and that's how we survive. But anyways, I don't know if you received any comments from your new paths proposals. The comment that we received from the headquarters was that there will be another new monies that will be added to the new paths fund. Okay, and I believe that's the the letter that you should have received already. It's targeted for under language and culture. 55 million should be devoted for 2016 and 17, and this money is to support the existing new paths activities in the area of school effectiveness, to support classroom instruction, curriculum, and language development. So when I asked about whether we'd be required to submit a supplement proposal for ARP for Nelson's program, they didn't really say, but the meeting that I attended yesterday in Thunder Bay, the money has already been expended. I don't know how, I don't know who's getting what, I'm not sure. But apparently what INAC is doing, I believe, is what I heard, but don't quote me on this. I believe what they're doing is they're just reviewing the proposals that we submitted, even what you submitted, and they're just kind of applying the money to the areas that might be eligible for that particular area that they want to fund under language and culture. I believe that's what is happening. So I'm hoping that I just wrote an email to that person that deals with that headquarters in Toronto, in terms of whether we're getting additional monies, because I know Nelson's work plan, there was a lot of activities that weren't funded that are geared towards supporting language and culture. So I just wanted to share that information to you. And also, I wanted to reemphasize the importance of you as a principal and a director, that we really need to find ways of how to keep our language alive. Not only in the school, but in the community too. Right now, we're struggling. We're trying to, as I said, we don't have any authority whatsoever, but we can only do so much in terms of supporting your language and your immersion teachers. The direction has to come from you guys, from you as a principal. Even if you're a non-native principal, you still have that key responsibility, even though you don't speak the language or you don't understand, but you're the key component of making sure the language and the immersion teachers are doing their part, and also they're getting the support and the resource that they need from us, from Gallachew. So I just wanted to reemphasize that. Charles?
Okay, we're losing time here. We got about 7 minutes to 10. So I'm going to ask Margaret to you get the rest of the time till break time, which is 10:15. I just want to say that the information that you're receiving, if you have anything that you want to talk about in the roundtable discussion, I think that's the best time to bring it up, because we're trying to get on with the time here. Okay. I realize it's important, the information that you're receiving, because you need to know these, see what's been happening lately. Okay.
Okay, thanks, Charles. I'll be summarizing the First Nations Student Success Program work plan, and it's following the work plan that Nelson was talking about, so it's towards the back of tab 2. So the First Nations Student Success Program has been operating since the end of 2009, beginning of 2010. And for the 2016-17 budget, we have $4.17 million for that. So with our work plan that we submitted, it's kind of interesting how it happened. Because you submit this work plan and budget every year, and it goes to the National Selection Committee, because it's a national program that's funded. So usually they would send out the call for proposals in December, which they did, but this past year, Indian Affairs said, okay, you have to have your proposal and work plan in by, I think it was January the 6th. So there was kind of an uproar and protest over that, saying that is like too short of a time frame. It's a big template, and to input everything and get your work plan together. So then, about a week or two after that, they said, okay, we'll give you extra time, April the 4th. So we said, wow, it's just like going to the other end of the spectrum. So now we didn't have to put it in until April the 4th, which is kind of late. It's already into the new fiscal year. So it wasn't until June that we actually knew that we were getting the amount that we had asked for. So that's what they did, and they asked for a 2-year work plan, so that's what we submitted. So we were able to add 2 additional staff members. So there's myself as the coordinator. We have the 3 leads. Amanda as school success planning lead, Leslie does the assessment, and Monica performance measurement lead. Those are the 3 areas of the work plan that target literacy, numeracy, and student retention. Then we have the literacy coach, the numeracy coach, the early literacy or primary coach, and we have the student retention coordinator. And we are still recruiting for a couple of positions, because the person that recently started, Chris Norris, his wife got a job in Thunder Bay, so last week was his last week with us. So you may have seen the bulletin, and we have 4 job ads in there for FNSSP. So that position we're still recruiting for. The new position, the student assessment resource worker. It's to help out with the assessments with Leslie. We had to repost that because we only had a couple of applicants, so that one's been reposted. And the other new position technology in the classroom coach. Alexander Short, he started just this week. So he's going to be helping out in the area of technology. And we're also recruiting a database worker. So we were able to put all of those into the work plan. So on page 1 of the work plan, some of it is similar to last year, and many of you have already got a good knowledge of FNSSP from working with it for a few years. But there are a few new things. So the first one is updating the school improvement plans, or they're also called school success plans. So every community will have a school review, and that happens every 5 years. That's a NINAC policy that they fund school reviews. So if there's any new principals, you could take a look at the school review that you have in the community, and a school improvement plan or school success plan comes with that. So that is available, and that's what should be updated every year. So usually the school success planner will assist with that. And then at the bottom of page 1, the principals coaching mentoring. Now last year we only had the budget to do this with the 3 schools that have a high school program. Jack McMaster, he's retired from the KP board, and he went up and he was the coach mentor for those 3 schools. We expanded that in this year's work plan, and we had the funding approved for that. He will now be going into all 13 schools, coaching and mentoring the principal. So tomorrow we're going to have 2 different groups going at once. Ed directors will have their own session. Principals will be spending the day with Jack, who's the coach mentor. We found that to be a very positive project last year. There was a lot of good feedback, so we extended that this year. On page 2, 1.3, you'll see that this comes up 3 times in the work plan. That's because that's the way we have to put it into the proposal template. We had to split it up to literacy, numeracy, student retention. But these are the locally developed FNSSP little mini work plans or mini proposals that you submit to us and that we fund you. On Friday we'll get into more detail on the reporting templates for that and the templates for doing the proposal. So you could look at your school improvement plan and see if you want to extrapolate some things from there for your literacy, numeracy, and student retention. And this year we're pleased that we can fund those at $500 per student. I think we have a couple of them in already for 2016-17. I believe Casablanca's is in and Wapakika. So the rest can submit their proposals to
I've been
us.
on them about it, I hope it's there.
Yeah, it is.
Good.
I've seen it. And you originally submitted it at last year's funding.
That's
so
right.
You got
And
to
we
put-
had to do it,
Yeah.
redo it again. I got that letter and then I got right on them.
Yeah. So 1.4 on page 2. We're doing this again, bringing all the principals out, all 13, for 3 days of PD, like a key leads working group. And you'll see a colorful chart like this at the back of tab 2. Amanda put this together. These are the dates that we're hoping to have all the different working groups. Sometimes these dates have to change because of things that come up. But right now we're having the key leads, that's the principals working group, September 28th, 29th, and 30th. On the first one of those days, the special ed resource teachers will be out, so we'll be having them in combination with the principals for that one day. They'll be together. And if for some reason the principal can't go because there might be something else happening, because we have the travel, the principal could send somebody else in their place. So to get the information, it's good to get somebody coming to the working groups if that's available. 1.5, we're still on page 2, is the Transitions Literacy Program that was originally developed by Leslie, our assessment lead. The original idea behind the transitions literacy was for students coming out of immersion and then going into English language instruction for the very first time. We wanted something for the literacy block. So if they were getting English only for the first time in grade 3, we needed something for that particular component. So that whole literacy block was designed in the Transitions 1, and now there's Transitions 2 that Leslie has been working on. And some of the teachers are staying on Sunday and Monday this week to get transitions training. And the ones who are not able to participate in that, there'll be other opportunities in the fall for training on that. And it can be used by any of the classroom teachers for the literacy block. So it's not necessarily just for students coming out of immersion. It's broad enough it can be used for other students as well. And if you turn over to page 3, there's the 1.6 are the different resources that we're going to be doing for literacy. These are some of them. The community tutoring, we have Brooke who's going to be doing a short presentation on that this afternoon. Jolly Grammar, the Dragon Speak, Jolly Phonics has been going on this week. That's one of the programs that we're promoting for the primary. Turning over to page 4, there's the Learning A to Z license for all the schools. 1.7 is the Reading 180. That's a program for the intermediate grades that we piloted last year in 2 schools, Ishkigagmong and KI. We're extending that again this year and adding 2 additional schools. It's a very costly program, and now we're running into a glitch because it used to be Scholastic that would distribute this in Canada. They've sold it to, I think it's Harcourt, Jovanovich in the States, so there's a little bit of a problem getting that program. But we do have a consultant who worked for Scholastic, and it's really good that she is able to provide support. Like, actually she's going into a couple of the communities in the fall, and she can provide phone and email support. So hasn't been determined which communities are going to get that for the second pilot, but we'll be working on that. And then the Lexia reading 1.8. Winneman and Bearskin had pilots. We're going to expand that into 2 more schools, and I think Cat Lake already had that one. They were using it even before that, and they found some positive results from that. So that's another reading program. This one is for the primary. On page 5, 1.10, the math working group. We have a smaller working group for math that Bronwyn, our numeracy coach, facilitates. And we're going to have more meetings of that group. And anything that comes out of those working groups, like the kindergarten one or the math, all those materials are later shared with all the other schools. So on the chart, the math working group is going to be meeting for the first time November 8th to the 10th. So there'll be more information coming to the schools about these various working groups. Page 5, 111 is the Lego Learning Pilot. It's going to be going into 4 schools. And we're going to be doing like a map of the different pilots so that it could be shared amongst the different schools for these ones. So that's another math initiative. Page 6, the school's using Jump Math, and it's pretty well most of them. We have those Jump Math books that we are able to distribute to all the schools. And then there's the Dreambox Learning for Math, which we are piloting in 7 schools this year, and some of them have already had it from last year, so that'll bring it up to Dreambox going into every school. And Bronwyn is going to be following up on that one. On page 7, 1.13, we call this the Victor Lyons Project. It's the digital stories. The way this one came about, oh yeah, here's another thing that Indian Affairs did. In January, all of a sudden, we have extra money. Can you put together, like within a couple of days, a 3-month work plan? So, and we said, well, what's the ballpark figure for how much should we be putting in for this work plan? Well, they didn't say, they just said put in a work plan. So we put this one in last year for this extra 3-month money that we got. And then we thought, well, it's working out pretty good, so we'll put it in again for this year and then the following year. So he's going into communities doing these digital stories, working with students. Monica may have a sample to show us later on today. There's a couple of places he didn't get into because he had to do it all, like, it was supposed to be done before the end of March, but we extended it past because there was no way of doing all of them before the end of March. So there's a few he didn't get into, which I think is Saugeen, Wapakika, Sachigo, and Muskrat Dam. So he'll go into those ones for sure, as well as some of the other communities, so that they're all covered within the 2 years. And 114, Susan Buchanan Consulting. She went into each community last spring. That was another thing that we got with the extra 3-month work plan. And she does a community-based anti-bullying program. She'll be doing a follow-up visit to all the 13 schools again. She'll be contacting you directly about her travel because she's familiar with the communities now, so she's able to do that. So scheduling when that will happen. She does also workshops with the parents and the students. 115, we're going to be putting the Lions Quest program. We haven't purchased this yet, but it's a weekly lesson that improves school climate, interpersonal skills. There's been results showing that it can increase attendance and academic performance. That's a Canadian-based program. Page 8, 116. We're going to do the Tell Them From Me surveys. We did this a few years ago just with a couple of the high schools. Pelican High School was doing this and they highly recommended it, which is why we started it a few years ago. So we're going to be surveying students, and when we get the student retention coordinator, they will be looking after this particular survey. Okay, page 8, 117. We did the two-day Jolly Phonics training already. That happened this week. On page 9, 118, there will be a 3-day PD session for 2 participants from each of the schools on early literacy. And Melissa, she's the primary early literacy coach, will be facilitating that. So hopefully each school will be able to send 2 participants out for that. 119, we have funding for what on the work plan is called the Chiefs and Education Directors meeting. This is our annual general meeting that we have costs for that. Page 9, 120, Cultural Connections Group. The first thing we're doing with that is on Saturday morning, we're going to be doing, all the participants will be together, and we have a number of people from a group called Kairos. They're going to do the blanket exercise. If you haven't seen that or been part of that before, it's a very neat activity. So we'll be doing that on Saturday morning. Page 10, 121, Technology Working Group. We're going to bring kind of a technology lead teacher from each of the 13 communities to do Google and other technology things, and Monica will talk more this afternoon about the technology part of the work plan. Page 10 at the bottom, 122. We have $65,000, which is approximately $5,000 per school. We had this before just for general bright ideas, but this one is going to be for technology bright ideas. If your school wants to do something in technology, you can put together just a very short little work plan, even a 1 or 2 pager, and there'll be information coming on this. The focus is grades 4 to 7. The technology bright idea. Page 11, Kindergarten Working Group. They have, over the past couple of years, developed the K-Play binder with lots of resources and curriculum ideas. And there'll be 3 face-to-face meetings of the Kindergarten Working Group this year.
Excuse me.
Page 11, We're going to try out web conferencing with GoMeetNow and GoToMeeting. Our technology coach will be looking into that to see if we can do some virtual meetings. Page 12, 125, exercise grows brain cells. Brains and beats. 2 pilot schools for each of those. I think Monika wants to talk more about that this afternoon, but we're going to be putting some exercise equipment just to see how it goes, and also some drums, different kinds of drums for trying some kind of new innovative things to engage students. We'll hear more about that this afternoon. 126, the Google Summit. We did send people in April to that, and there's a possibility being tossed around now of a Google Summit in Sioux Lookout this fall. Page 13, 127. There'll be professional development for 2 intermediate teachers from each of the 13 schools. So you can be thinking about who may be able to come out to that this fall when we do the Google Apps for Education training. Okay, 128. We purchased 3 of these 3D printers. It's a new thing. And 2 of them are going to go into 2 of the high schools, KI and Waterman. And we are going to have one just to try it out at the office. They just came in, and Alex is putting them together, and we're going to be seeing how they work. Page 13, this was a new one, but we couldn't actually do this particular work plan item the way it's written because we didn't know until June that we were funded. And then the ONICA meeting, the Education Counselors Association, had already taken place by then. But we will have some kind of social counselors training this year, because that group, they were not in last year's work plan, and we thought PD is actually crucial for them as well. So that's what we'll be doing with the social counselors. Page 14, this one we're quite excited about. Elders in the classroom. We have a budget, and this is the way we've lined it up. Each of the 13 schools will have an elder for 4 days a week, or 2 elders 2 days a week each, or however the school wants to arrange it. So we have funding to pay an honorarium to the elders, $100 a day, 4 days a week. And this is how we figured it out: 4 weeks, 8 months to the end of March, 13 schools. And Nelson is going to be facilitating this. These are some of the things the elders could do. They could teach language classes, build vocabulary lists for the programs, do storytelling, tell legends, maybe connect with students that are struggling and need to talk to an elder. And then it could be documented through photography and through the Victor Lyons video project. So there's funding there. So hopefully we'll get started on that soon. If you know of elders that could come into the school, we have a budget to pay them an honorarium. 131, Anderson Speech Consultants, Deb Anderson and her of speech pathologists. They're based in Burlington. They're going to be going into every school again to do on-site for kindergarten and grade 1. She's also working with high cost for those communities that are purchasing the high cost special ed services. So she does that, and she sets up her intervention and program through video conferencing following the assessment. And we have some data on that. I could bring the report actually from what she reported on last year. She has target goals for the students she works with, and we're showing quite a bit of success for students that have that. 132, the Immersion Phonics program. That's another one that will go to Nelson for facilitating that, so we'll be able to extend that Immersion Phonics program. On page 15, there's going to be a DVD created for Immersion, as well as OGP math books. So we're trying to blend the 2 programs by having some components of the work plan targeted for ARC. The next section is assessment. So I'll just briefly talk about that one. We have Leslie, who's doing the assessment screeners. Some of the staff know how to administer them. She still signs off the reports. So you'll be getting, and that will be talked about this afternoon. In addition to that, there's the EQAO, grade 3, grade 6, if you have a grade 9 and 10 program. A couple of communities didn't get signed on for EQAO, but we're going to keep supporting schools. So this is what Indian Affairs wants. They want the provincial assessments. So even though we're doing the other ones, they still want communities to be doing EQAO. We get a lot of useful data from Leslie's assessments, but EQAO is something that they do want. So we can skip over. Oh, there's going to be a resource teachers workshop as well. Special ed resource teachers are coming out. September the 26th, 27th, and 28th. If you don't have a resource teacher in your school, but there's somebody who's kind of interested in special ed or does a lot of the work for special ed, then send that person instead. And all the data stuff she will be talking about. So if we switch over to page 21, those are all the performance measurement. They've been summarized in that whole section, performance measurement section. So all of the information on DataMan. Keith works with DataMan, Monica. If you don't have DataMan, there's a couple of schools using another system. So all the tech and phone support is provided by Quaichi. There'll be training for the data administrators. And one other piece of good news is the amount of funding that goes to the communities for data administration support. We've been able to increase that by 25%. So whatever you got last year, you'll be getting a higher amount this year for the data admin support. There's letters of agreement that have gone out. And this is the auditor requiring every time we send money to the communities, we have to have some kind of letter of agreement signed. So for your data administrator or the work itself, maybe it's added on to something that the secretary does, but there is money going to the local level for that. That's pretty well the work plan in a nutshell. So we're quite excited about all the different events that are going to be happening this year.
Did you explain about the local data?
Yep.
So they were,
They're aware of it, and then they'll get more of that when we do the recording. Yep.
Okay, thank you, Margaret. That was the FNSSP update. And right after the break, Matthew is going to talk about the structuring. No. Okay, 10:30, 10:35. Be here by 10:35. It's 10:20. 10:35. Coffee's over there, whatever. We have not out yet. So coffee and quick, human quick.
What's the computer code for here?
It's just it's just kind of what it's been changed to. It's just on the desk. I'll just, yeah.